Morning, everybody. It is the 21st day of February. Early voting started yesterday. I'm Spencer Bennett.
And I'm Ashley Rice.
And we've got a very special guest in studio with us today. It's Tisha Crow, the Ector County Republican Party chairwoman. Doesn't matter.
Chair is fine.
What's a woman? That's what we joke about all the time.
Oh, yes.
What is a woman?
Look in your pants.
Hey, it's great to have you here.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Well, I guess we are going to just jump right in.
Perfect.
I will tell you that I've never seen an election cycle like this one.
It's insanity.
That's a good word.
It is.
Yeah.
It has been more like a general than a primary. Mm-hmm. Primaries normally have more rules. In other words, it's that you don't cross certain boundaries. Mm-hmm. But instead, it's more like fighting Democrats. And so there are no no-goes. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It seems like anything's
on the table.
Fair game. That's right. Yeah. They can talk about your kids. They can do whatever they want. It's totally fair game. So, yeah. But anyway.
In the long run, that doesn't play out very well.
No, let's hope the voters understand and see it.
All right. So we got to talk about stuff. You're coming up
Absolutely.
For re-election. You're the incumbent.
I am. Yes, I've been party chair. This will be my 14th year. I want a little more time so I can finish. We still have a few Democrats in seats in Ector County. I don't know if most people are aware of that, but we do. And that is my goal in the next 2 to 4 years, is to remove those. And then I'm looking for someone to follow me, someone that I can trust with a legacy, that we have built the party, and that's exactly who I want to be able to step in and continue to build and not destroy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, thank
and
you.
like I said, this election cycle has been pretty raw.
It has.
And
it
insane.
has. Yeah. Like yesterday, there was a comment made about us having Brooks Landgraf on a Marxist list, and which is laughable. But we do have Marxist and communist in Odessa, and we know they're coming in. That's part of what that training was about, because we know that's part of the whole point of the open border.
Infiltration.
That's exactly correct. Absolutely. As well as California and other states, we know this. We're well aware. And so that was, but while Brooks Landgraf has made some poor votes, A.G. Paxton's impeachment, for example, voting for that does not make him a Marxist, and neither did we put him on a Marxist list. That's ludicrous. But that's okay. We just set the record straight as we go and hope that people understand and believe the truth. Let's put it that way.
Tell us a little bit about what the Republican Party chair does.
One of the things that we do, and I say we instead of just me as the chair, but the board, we're responsible for elections. And not just the primary, but we also help run the general. But the primary is literally ours. Yes, we share it with the Democrats, but there's nothing that's happening with the Democrats here. They didn't have a chair to even file with during filing. So everything's happening this year on the Republican side. And we're responsible for those elections. We put them on. We make sure that we contract with the county, but it's still our responsibility. Our rear's on the bottom line, if you will. And we want to drive vote, but we've been doing that. We are nowhere near where we need to be. Let me be very clear. We have over 80,000 people that are registered to vote in Ector County, and we don't have near that voting. But we can say in the gubernatorial elections in 2014, we had 7,000 people vote.
Wow.
Move it forward to 18, we had 12,596, increase 79%. Then November of 22, we had 19,212. So in 8 years, we went from 7,000 to 19,200. That's in a gubernatorial. Those aren't your top vote years. Presidentials are always your top years, okay? And in November of 12, we had 14,000, and I'm going to just jump real quick to 20 because it continues to increase, but we got to 32,697. That is a 127% increase. Not as much as the gubernatorial at 172%, but that's still great. Those are strides and in the right direction. Those are huge strides. And one way we do that is with mailers. We also get out and talk to people. We come on the radio during elections and say, hey, remember to vote. Here's your polling times. Remember, today they're open 8 to 5. Tomorrow they're open 8 to 5. We talk about those things, and we block walk. We do a lot of door knocking. Now, when we door knock, we don't door knock as a precinct chair or a county chair. We door knock for candidates. So a lot of the time, those people don't know who we are other than, hi, my name is Tisha, and I'm block walking for President Trump today. That's what they hear. So we're not out there for us. We're out there for the candidate. Or it's a local candidate. You know, if somebody's running for JP, for example, or commissioner, which we have 3 of those races in the county going on right now as well. So it's an exciting primary.
Yes, it is. All right. You wanted to go into some of the election numbers. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to cover something else right quick?
No, we can go back over those election numbers that we just did, because I want people to understand exactly the type of increase that we have had.
Well, I wanted what I was more meaning, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean
that's
to
okay.
to reiterate what we'd already talked about. But do we know after the first day of voting what those numbers already look like? Was it a pretty good turnout on Tuesday for?
Yeah, we had over 500 people vote. We're right at 500 people turnout.
Okay, that's
to
not
vote.
bad.
It's not bad. It's not our top day for primary, first day turnout by any means, but it's not poor. Some of the polling places we expected to have better turnout than we did, which was a bit surprising. But late in the day, the wind picked up, and a lot of times people vote after they pick up kids from school or on the way to pick up kids from school. They drop them off at dance, run and vote, go back and pick them up. With the wind picking up and that sort of thing, I think it made a difference. But hopefully today is supposed to be beautiful again. And next week, I think we will have good turnout this primary. I really do.
And we want to encourage you to get out there. We're going to be giving you the early voting locations every single hour in both Ector and Midland County.
Perfect.
I don't live in Ector County.
Yes,
but
I remember.
I take a very big interest in politics because I think that we have become the focus of the nation because we are the energy provider for this nation. We see political attacks on our energy industry.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't we see an infiltration? And that's one of my key points. This is something that I hammer all the time. You need to know how your candidate has voted,
Absolutely,
where their money is coming from, and how this is all playing in. Because in Midland, there's somebody sitting in a Republican seat.
Yep.
That's I think just call him a communist.
A total liberal.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that insanity?
And it's crazy to me because I would respect you more if you just stuck to who you are.
Yeah,
when you flip, you have no integrity, but that's what you're getting.
But part of it is this.
Yeah.
I do know all the time I hear, well, I don't really pay attention to local. Well, they need to pay attention to local.
They need to.
Yes.
Because do you realize for the first time in the history of Ector County, since the Commissioner's Court was established, we have an all-Republican court that just happened this last election a year ago.
Yeah, it did.
So it was a year ago, November. So we now have 4 Republicans commissioners because that 4th seat has been held by a Democrat since the inception of the county. Let me repeat. And so if you don't know who's sitting in those seats, how do you know who to? And you need to watch everybody. Don't misunderstand me. We have to hold our own guys. If we don't hold their feet to the fire, who will? Because, yes, when Democrats are there, we have to call out what they're doing because their people aren't going to. But we have to watch our own or it becomes a slippery slope.
It does.
And that you can become unpopular doing it, but it's the right thing to do.
Right. And we're seeing this infiltration in our local governments.
Absolutely.
All we say is, and that's my mantra here on the radio. People can say, oh, what does he say? He says that local action has national impact.
That's exactly correct.
You can no longer take your local races for granted.
Absolutely not.
Especially because this is such an important conservative area.
It is.
It is now a big target. We have a target on our back. In this area, liberals want to come in from other states. They want to focus that money, and they're dumping money.
They are. And we're in Ector County, and you know this, and Midland is the same. If you want to run and win, what letter do you have to have behind your name? An R. In other words, you have to run in the Republican primary in Midland and in Ector if you want a seat. It is very much the rarity that you can run as a Democrat and win in these areas.
That's why there's an infiltration. There's
That's
people,
why. That's why they
but
come into the party, because they don't have a choice. They have to take over the party to take over the state. They tried to do it from the outside. They tried to do it through the Democrats, and it didn't work. So that's what they're doing. But they're using Democrats to work with Republicans, well, people with the R. I wanted to put a distinction here.
I was about to say Ashley Rice. No, no, you're freaking me out. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
you know what I mean. Though?
I'm
they,
kidding.
They may have an R, but they're no more a Republican than anyone else.
Yeah, R for rhino, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I've said this time and again. I think you both can agree with me, and many of our audience will. Is people didn't realize until 2020 how much power local government really had, because America had never really experienced this communist type of methods being, our school board.
Color revolution.
All of the things that have been happening since 2020, people started to wake up and go, wow, my city council, my mayors, my school boards, these people have more. It's not just about your governor and your president.
No, it's not.
But people, I don't think, ever really were slapped in the face with that because for the most part, America, other than 9/11, what have any of us really ever had to go through?
And that's a valid point.
You
and
know?
that's why I believe that people who support Democrats, especially for school boards or any other position over a Republican, how are they calling themselves a Republican? And when people who are running for precinct chair in the Republican Party right now, today in Ector County, admit that they have supported Democrats in the last school board election over Republicans, and people are not outraged by that, I simply do not understand.
Which goes back to my
agree with
point.
you.
You need to know.
You do,
You need
which
to
means you
know.
have to investigate on your own, and you can't just listen to yapping on Facebook.
Or on the radio.
I like that. But no, really and truly, you have to find people you can trust,
Right.
or go investigate on your own.
You know, there is a wealth of information and knowledge.
You bet there is. You
And
just have to dig a
all it
little.
takes is effort.
There you
So
go.
that's a great question. Let's lead into that. If I wanted to find out somebody's voting record,
Call the elections office.
thank you.
It's public record. It's public record. When did they start voting? Did they vote for a few years and then stop voting for 20 years and then start voting again? Have they always voted? Have they never voted in Republican primary? We have 3 people right now running for Republican precinct seats, in addition to the other I've referred to, that have no Republican vote history. Think about that. They want to sit on the governing board for the county. We make recommendations to the governor if a district judge has to be replaced. We also place people in seats for temporary placement if they have to be before a special election can happen, if someone passes away in certain offices. And they want to sit on the board that does that? I don't understand. And there's one more thing I did want to address as well, if you'll allow the leeway here.
You got a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Perfect. There's been a lot of talk about how much power I seem to have, and I keep placing people in seats. So what happens, and this is election law. Election law provides a remedy. Soon as filing ended, if someone passed away right now, and I do have other empty seats that we could never find anyone to fill, but if someone walked in and they said, hey, I would love to get involved, they get involved, and pretty soon they say, hey, I would like to serve on the board. I've gotten involved. I've gotten to know you guys. I work at headquarters. I volunteered for ballot board. I block walked, whatever. Maybe all these. I poll watched. Then we say, okay, wonderful. Come before the board, fill out your application. They will interview, ask you questions, and then you'll leave and they'll vote on you, and I'll let you know what they say. That's the process, and that's the remedy in election law and in Texas election code.
I want to point out that's the law.
That's the law.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That's because we can't leave these seats empty for 2 years in between. Filing is open for 5 weeks every 2 years. What do we do in the meanwhile?
So it's a matter of people wanting to come serve. Otherwise, you have to appoint.
Or able to serve.
Or you're able to, or can get elected, or are able to serve.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
I think, like you said, a lot of people are scared to serve.
They are. Well, look at the attacks that are happening right now. We literally have businesses being threatened if they have signs outside their location. I mean, they've gone in and said, if you don't take those signs down, I'll pull my business and I'll never buy from you again. I'll never do this with you again.
Well, what did I say? And I'm going to say this to anyone listening. You do not let the enemy threaten you, because the enemy is a coward, and God will provide for you. And where you lose business, he will multiply it.
And that's right. And that's why we've been successful with the party, growing the number of precinct chairs that we have filled. We have more filled right now than we've ever had in the history of the county. We have an all-Republican commissioner's court. That's amazing. We have fewer Democrats in office than ever in the history of the county.
Wow.
We have, look at these vote numbers. We've increased voter turnout amazingly. Now, again, it's not enough. But it's not enough till we have 100%, to be honest.
Right.
Is that an unattainable goal? Maybe, but that's still my goal.
Well,
right?
yeah.
And you have to have something. You have to have a goal, or you will never achieve anything.
Well,
and that is my goal.
when you're up against the things that we saw in 2020, you have to overachieve, because you don't know what they're going to come
That
at
is
you with.
exactly correct. And that's a valid
the
point.
tactics are dirty and dishonest.
Yeah, and it's been a rough. That's what I led into. It's been a rough. It's been interesting. Let's put it that. It's been an interesting election cycle. Now, I did want to touch on one
Please.
thing for people who want to. We want to encourage everybody to vote.
Yes.
We also want to encourage everybody to get information on the people you're voting for.
Absolutely.
Second of all, if you're that passionate and you feel passionate, get involved.
Please, we need help. That's what we're trying to do. What the whole goal every year is to build the army coming for November. because we have to get out and enforce, because just like Ashley said, we have no idea how much we have to overperform because they're going to steal it another way.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about Ector County because we are secure. We watch, we poll watch, we check our judges, then we double check our judges. If we have a problem, we have a good administrator here, elections administrator, and I call and I say, hey, I've heard we have a problem over here. She goes and addresses it. She truly does. So kudos to our EA here. I mean, our elections administrator listens and she cares. But that doesn't happen everywhere else. So we have to overperform here. That way we have Army that if we have to send them into other areas of the state, which we've had to do before, they're prepared.
Right.
And the other thing we need to stress, folks, if you're conservative, your vote is critical, because you've got places like Dallas and Houston, Austin,
I was about to say,
What has happened in my hometown?
where you have this mass migration of people who might have not left their politics at the border.
Don't California my Texas?
Exactly.
They California'd my Dallas.
Yeah.
They sure have. Well, do you realize
It's
Houston
so
is still
disheartening.
they're still in lawsuits because of the last election, because there were so many poor decisions made by the elections administrator and at polling places that people's honest votes weren't counted, and yet people's whose votes shouldn't have counted did. Think
Crazy.
about that, and that's what we're fighting here. And you have to have experience in order to do that. That's why I'm asking for people to vote for re-election.
Very
Amen.
I'm Tisha Crow.
And it's great to have you
Yay.
in.
Well, thank you.
You're awesome.
I'm just
Thank
asking,
you.
do you approve this message?
I approve this message.
All right, we're going to be back.